Last week, the Seattle Public Schools filed a federal lawsuit against social media giants, alleging that their platforms are a major contributor to the youth mental health crisis. Isa Watson is the CEO and founder of the app called Squad, geared to helping close friends stay in touch. And one of her main missions is educating individuals and parents on how to gain back control over social media use. Welcome, Isa.
Hey, Desiree, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and this is such a timely subject. Why are schools, parents, and more individuals taking a stance against the way social media apps perform?
Well, they're taking a stance because it's very clear that there's a lot more harm being done. And, I think it's really important to remember that social media platforms are consumption platforms, they're not connection platforms. And with that said, in Seattle in particular, there was a 30% increase from 2009 to 2019 of students who reported feeling so sad and hopeless that they couldn't do typical activities for at least 2 weeks. And so the harm is becoming very apparent, and parents have had enough.
Yeah, and as an outsider looking in, I'm not a teen anymore, but I'm thankful that I didn't have this much exposure to social media when I was young. It was just on the cusp of social media beginning, but now it's in a lot of teens day to day. So can you talk about the comparison trap and what it does to teen mental health when they scroll through a curated version of their peers' lives?
I like to call social media an echo chamber of perfectionism because what we're doing is we're putting up our most perfect moments and actually not showcasing like the totality of our real lives. And quite frankly, there was a 2019 UPenn study that revealed that teenagers or adolescents have unprecedented levels of or unprecedented levels of anxiety due to three reasons. They have unrealistic expectations of what they should look like, what they should own, and what they should achieve. And it's mostly due to the comparison curse that they experience on social media.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the nose. It really is just highlighting just the good and all the excitement, but not everything that goes in everyone's day-to-day lives. Because with good times, there's also bad times. And I like that you pointed out too, there's this, unfortunately, there's this expectation to always look a certain way, kind of have the filters, and it's not realistic. Can you talk about the addictive nature
Right.
of the algorithms and what we can do to help break our social media addictions?
So when we talk about algorithms, I think it's important just to really break it down that our social media feeds used to be placed in reverse chronology order. That means the latest thing that was posted by our friends we would see all the way down to the oldest thing. And with algorithms, social media giants determined that this was a really powerful tool to keep people on the platform. So every item in your feed is weighted, and the higher the weight, the more you're going to see it at the top of your feed. And what social media giants have done is that they have actually put weight on a lot of the things that you're following, but also a lot of the things that make you emotional and angry. And so they're built to kind of suck you in and just keep you on, right? And so when they know what your triggers are, they use that in the algorithmic score to present you the feed that they think will keep you on the app the longest.
Yeah, I remember seeing on a documentary too. It wasn't like this before, but one thing that social media has now is the endlessly scrolling. You never reach an ending point, so it encourages you to stay on. Do you think teens and young adults are at greater risk of internet addiction?
Oh, 100%. And we've actually seen that. Quite frankly, a lot of teachers are now complaining that they can't get kids off social media in the classrooms. A lot of parents are complaining, and Time did a really interesting piece a few months ago that talked about the resulting impact of offline socialization and how teens just really aren't making friends in real life the way that they once were because they prefer to be on their phone scrolling because they're addicted to the algorithms that were meant to addict them. And so there's this kind of very much a wave effect, and it's really going to take a village of parents and schools and a whole community just to help us kind of reframe our habits around our social media use.
Yeah, so do you have any tips on how we can all take a step back from social media and tap into some in real life joy?
Yeah, I would say for kids, Implementing parental controls. There's phone level controls of screen limits, and there's app level controls of, you can get notified when certain people are following your kid, or they follow other people. But also, the one thing that I highly encourage both adults and friends is to invest in that friendship component. Social media has created this really big conflation of friends versus just like my online homies. And the reality is that friendships are things that you actually invest in and get a lot of joy off of. So from a kid's perspective, it's promoting that offline socialization. So instead of, scroll on the iPad, hey, go play with your friend, or like go to the movies with, Bobby or Susie or whoever. And for adults, I actually encourage the same thing, because, the energy that we take towards our, completing our calendar, we don't take that energy in scheduling, like, hey, let's go to brunch. Like, take one moment out of your schedule every week, whether that's brunch on Saturdays, dinners on Thursdays, whatever. Make that your friend time and fill that in every week.
Yeah, and when I do step away from my phone and do what you were mentioning, meeting with friends in person, I do feel better. And it's good to know that there's apps like yours, like Squad, that are encouraging people to get together in real life. Isa, always a pleasure having you on. And for more about Isa, go to isawatson.com.